Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Disney. Disney's in a state of chaos as their stock gets banned, they're down billions of dollars, and they're sued for technology theft. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. Coming from Fox Business, South Carolina State Treasurer holds Disney investing. That is in their stock, that is in their debt. He does not think that a far-left company like Disney bodes well for their future. From Hollywood Reporter, Disney's 9-figure visual effects headache, Beauty and the Beast profits at stake in a trial. And it's not just Beauty and the Beast. They're using technology for their films that they do not have the rights to. From Bloomberg, Disney's $218 billion route, not enough for dip buyers. Disney stock is down more than $200 billion from its height. And why is it a risk and why is their stock down? Because they are 100% approved in the 2023-2024 Corporate Equality Index. This is the CEI Human Rights Campaign Scoring Index dictating to Disney how to change their content and structure their employees so they can decenter whiteness and destroy all their brands. Also from the Hollywood Reporter, Ike's revenge, ousted Marvel mogul looms as Disney proxy fight heats up. They're absolutely terrified of Ike Perlmutter because Ike Perlmutter does no businesses. He called out the pending bankruptcy to Ron Perlman, owner of Marvel Comics at the time, and told him, "I know bankruptcies, this is a bankruptcy waiting to happen." At the time, Ike Perlmutter and his partner owned a toy company called Toy Biz that was partners with Marvel on making toys based on the Marvel characters. Ron Perlman, a billionaire, a brilliant guy, did not listen. The company did go bankrupt. The reason Disney is so panicked about Ike Perlmutter is that they know he knows overspending, and there's a lot of overspending at Disney. He's also well aware that Disney has taken their brands and donated them to the woke agenda, and that's terrible for business. And if Nelson Peltz or Ike Perlmutter get anywhere near the Disney board, it's going to stop. And here's what they think of Ike Perlmutter. It's the meddling while leading Marvel that has some worried should Trian's endeavor succeed. Trian is Nelson Peltz's company. Quote, "There's no silent partner in Ike," one source warned of Perlmutter. "You're inviting Trump onto the board. He's proxied his vote to Nelson. It's so dangerous." Ike Perlmutter is one of Donald Trump's biggest supporters. From Fox Business, "I think it's clear to anybody paying attention that there's a structural rot inside of Disney," Treasurer Curtis Loftus said in an interview. South Carolina State Treasurer Curtis Loftus removed the Walt Disney Company from an improved investment list, citing a structural rot that has resulted in putting far-left activism ahead of fiduciary responsibility to its investors. Quote, "I think it's clear to anybody paying attention that there's a structural rot inside of Disney. It's deep, it's pervasive, and I suspect Bob Iger, since his return as the CEO, now realizes it can't be fixed. It does not bode well for the future of Disney." And it's true. They've been focused on this corporate equality index that Disney has had a 100% rating for since 2007. Disney is not in control of what they're going to be doing with their brands or with their employees. It's all controlled by wanting to maintain this corporate equality index of a 100% rating since 2007. Whatever it is that this human rights campaign decides that Disney should be doing with their business, that's what they're going to do with their business. Anyone who would invest in that, either in their stock or in their debt, is really crazy because it's not based on financial returns. It's based on them pushing a social agenda. As the state's banker, Loftus, a Republican, manages approximately $70 billion per year. The state treasurer's office portfolio contains $105 million of Disney debt instruments that will mature as scheduled and will not be replaced. Loftus feels that ESG, which critics feel is liberal activism masquerading as corporate responsibility, has ruined Disney. Quote, "People sometimes forget that ESG has nothing to do with investing. ESG is a speech and behavior code that was created by the left and delivered to everybody else under these virtuous circumstances or presumed circumstances. But really, it's about the transfer of power, and it's been complete at Disney. The sane, sober, talented, mature people are gone. And now you have the gender studies crowd running Disney, he continued. That's why their movies are flops there, and their market cap, I think, is about half what it used to be. It's a tremendous loss to America. We all grew up on Disney. Last month, Disney stunned observers by essentially admitting in a public SEC filing that its political and social agenda hurt the company and shareholders. Disney recently halted advertising on Twitter after a far-left advocacy group insisted Twitter ads for certain firms and anti-Semitic content had showed up adjacent to each other, even though that was completely manufactured and absolutely not true. Elon Musk plans to fight the battle in court, claiming algorithms governing the user experience were manipulated. Bob Iger has also now started a conflict with Elon Musk as he throws fresh barbs at Disney's Bob Iger from the Wall Street Journal. Twitter owner has criticized Disney CEO repeatedly after the company pulled ads from the Musk-owned social media platform. What people don't completely understand about Elon Musk is he's much richer than people understand. If I owned Twitter, I would not want to lose any advertisers. At the same time, Elon Musk does have other plans for Twitter that do not include corporate advertising, particularly corporate advertising that will interfere with his personal free speech. The guy is worth a lot of money. He just got an additional $85 billion worth of net worth over the last year. His SpaceX is worth $175 billion alone right now. He doesn't own all of SpaceX, but he does own a good piece of SpaceX. He can afford to lose $1 billion worth of advertising on Twitter if he's able to develop it the way he wants to into a free speech platform. Beyond the free speech, he's going to be adding payments like on PayPal and doing a number of things that China already does with an application called WeChat. He's also already lost $20 billion on his valuation for Twitter. So as far as he's concerned, what's another billion? The move for Disney to pull ads away from Twitter was the last straw for Loftus, who believes the company is attempting to ruin the company that allows Americans to speak freely. Well, we have been watching the Disney saga for some time, but I don't like to be too heavily involved in politics, especially since it's not in my home state. But it really bothers me, and I believe it's symptomatic that they just left their fiduciary responsibilities behind, because they ganged up with other billionaires and are now trying to put a legal business out of business, Loftus said. Quote, "This is about a gang of billionaires, you know, hooligans trying to put somebody out of business. And who are they really putting out of business? They're putting the working class people, the middle class people who use the platform for free speech. That's who they're trying to put out of business. And I don't think it's proper for this gang of billionaires to pick on people who can't afford to fight back." As a result, Disney has been removed from the South Carolina's approved investment list. I decided to let the debt roll off in this natural fashion. That way it didn't cost the state anything. We just won't be buying any more of their debt, Loftus said. So what Loftus was doing, the state treasurer for South Carolina, was not buying the stock of Disney, but was buying the debt of Disney, because Disney does pay its debts, which makes it a decent investment for somebody like him who's managing $70 billion and trying to figure out where can he get a good return on investment that's not too risky. Disney debt for him was not a bad investment, but he will not buy Disney debt. He will not buy Disney stock, not anymore. Disney isn't alone in pausing their advertisements on Twitter in recent weeks, and Loftus doesn't believe any of them have the best interest of investors in mind. Others that are participating in this so-called advertising boycott, which we all know has nothing to do with advertising boycotts, are acting like hooligans in a gang fight. They want to put out the one free speech platform that's left. They want hundreds of millions of people to lose their ability to speak at scale, he continued. And I think that when billionaires push their weight around and use the resources of their multi-billion-dollar global companies, that is unacceptable. And people have to stand up and say no. He's definitely got the right idea. But that's not the only conflict going on for Disney, from The Hollywood Reporter. So Disney has a 9-figure visual effects problem. Beauty and the Beast profits are at stake. It's a complicated legal battle centered on MOVA, a facial motion capture technology that has been featured in the top-grossing Disney hits like Avengers: Infinity War, Guardians of the Galaxy, and The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. And now it's going to trial. In March 2017, Disney's live-action remake of Beauty and the Beast opened to a monstrous $357 million globally. Compare that to Captain Marvel opening at $41.6 million. It marked the 7th largest domestic debut ever and the top start for a PG title, eventually finding its place on the list of highest grossing films of all time, with lifelong box office earnings of $1.27 billion. Disney does not have one movie that broke $1 billion in 2023. Leading up to the release, Disney said the movie represented a massive step forward in visual effects, playing up the CGI rendering of Dan Stevens' Beast through the use of visual effects technology called MOVA Contour Reality Capture. Quote, "When you see Beast on screen, there is something so human about him," said Emma Watson, who played Belle at a press conference in Paris for the film, noting that the patented tech really captures the subtlety of Dan's facial expression. She stressed, "I don't think the world has seen anything like this before." Praise for Beauty and the Beast's visual effects work didn't stop there, with Disney planning an Oscar campaign on the strength of a performance capture-based Beast. Director Bill Condon, during that same press tour stop, said that MOVA actually captured every pore of Dan's skin, and that's why so much of him this great performance comes through. There was one problem though. DD3, the company Disney teamed up with on the project, may not have actually owned the technology that the movie's principal players attributed to its 10-figure success. A complicated chain of title involving a bankruptcy and a fraudulent sale effectively led to confusion around the actual ownership and licensure of the MOVA technology. 5 months after Beauty and the Beast opened, Disney was sued for improperly using MOVA in 3 movies, including Guardians of the Galaxy and multiple Avengers installments. The suit demanded an injunction barring distribution of any of the films. On Wednesday, opening statements are slated to start in an Oakland federal courthouse in the long-running case at the intersection of Hollywood and Silicon Valley that threatens a portion of Disney's profits for Beauty and the Beast. At the core of the case is whether Disney should be held vicariously liable for DD3's alleged infringement of MOVA, meaning it knew about and benefited from stolen technology owned by Reardon, a firm incubated by prolific inventor entrepreneur Steve Perlman. MOVA captures facial expressions to create photorealistic computer graphic effects. In 2008, made a splashy entrance in Hollywood by way of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. The photorealistic reverse aging of Brad Pitt's face from an 87-year-old man was widely lauded as a visual effects milestone, making Reardon's tech the talk of the town. It was subsequently used in an array of titles, including Paramount Pictures' Transformers: Dark of the Moon, Sony's The Amazing Spider-Man, and Warner Bros. Studios' Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, on top of at least a dozen other major studio films that have collectively grossed roughly $9.5 billion at the box office. In 2015, MOVA was recognized by AMPAS with a Technical Achievement Award. It was there that the legal saga first broke into the open, with Perlman taking issue with the award being given to Greg LaSalle, a former employee and longtime friend who was using the tech at a visual effects house, Digital Domain. Quote, "It is horrifying to see a decade of my life's work credited to someone who was no more than a trainee of the end result," Perlman wrote in a letter to the Academy. Chaos ensued. In a 2016 prequel to the legal saga between Reardon and Disney, a federal judge froze Digital Domain's licensures of MOVA in a preliminary injunction targeting Virtual Global Holdings, a British Virgin Islands-based firm that thought it owned MOVA and licensed it to DD3 and DD3 affiliate Shenzhen Heichberg Science and Technology. U.S. District Judge John Tiger found that the companies had behaved fraudulently in transferring ownership of the tech among various Chinese firms. LaSalle in 2013 had signed a deal with SHST, which offered indemnity against any future legal action, purportedly selling MOVA for $25,000. SHST then licensed the software to Digital Domain and hired LaSalle to run the business. Tiger concluded in a bench trial that LaSalle never owned MOVA or possessed the authority to sell it. The order set the stage for Reardon to go after various studios that used the tech, including Disney, which declined to comment for the story. In the trial set to start, Disney will have to contend with that adverse decision, meaning that Disney will have to deal with the fact that no one who they paid seems to have owned the actual technology that Disney used. The court on Sunday concluded that the jury should be given a special instruction: notifying it of the previous order finding that Reardon owned MOVA and that DD3 was blocked from further using the technology. Working in Disney's favor, though, is an instruction telling jurors that the company wasn't a party to the case and isn't legally bound by the final judgment, which is aimed at striking a balance between awareness of the ruling and the fact that Disney didn't get to present a defense in the original dispute between SHST and Reardon. Disney had urged the court to consider an instruction explicitly telling jurors that the company didn't know that DD3 was infringing on Reardon's intellectual property when the movie was being made. According to court filings, Disney plans to present evidence that LaSalle was taking steps to legally acquire MOVA when it learned that Reardon no longer owned the tech. Reardon, on the other hand, will have to grapple with the court siding with Disney on the exclusion of portions of testimony from Philip Fear, a production exec and owner of a Hollywood consulting firm who was set to tell the jury that roughly 8 to 11% of the profits for Beauty and the Beast are attributable to the alleged infringement of MOVA. Fear based his expert report on audiences' exit poll data, which recorded viewers' reasons for seeing the movie. Tiger found his conclusions lack any methodological foundation. On that issue, the jury will only hear from Disney's damages expert, whose testimony wasn't challenged as inadmissible by Reardon. The expert is expected to testify in part that MOVA was just one cog in a large visual effects apparatus and that it was only a small part of the movie's success. Still, the jury can award damages for disgorgement of profits in excess of what Disney's expert says and more in line with what Fears would have testified in favor of, which comes out to between roughly $100 million to $139 million. Disney, over the course of more than 6 years of litigation and 600 court filings, has also succeeded in whittling down the scope of the case. According to a sealed summary judgment order issued in October that was subsequently attached to court filings for proposed redactions, Ticker dismissed contributory infringement and trademark claims, finding that Disney did not know or have reason to know of DD3's alleged infringement before the court held that Reardon owned MOVA in 2017, a decision that turned on intensely factual issues concerning the transfer of MOVA assets. Reardon cited evidence it argued showed Disney was aware it was contributing to and profiting off of DD3's infringement, including a 2013 letter from Reardon's attorneys to LaSalle informing him that he didn't own MOVA, which allegedly caused Disney to back out of acquiring the technology for itself. But the court found that notice to Disney that Reardon owned the technology was given before LaSalle sold it to SHST in 2013. The order stated, quote, Disney entered into its contract with DD3 on March 31st, 2015. Beauty and the Beast opened on March 17, 2017, and this court did not hold that Reardon owned MOVA until August 11, 2017, nearly 5 months after the film opened. As for the trademark claim, Tigar questioned why the use of the MOVA mark in promotional materials for Beauty and the Beast would inherently imply Reardon's sponsorship or endorsement. The sole claim the jury will decide is whether Disney is liable for vicarious infringement. According to court documents, it's expected to argue that it lacked the practical ability to directly observe DD3's alleged infringement and couldn't recognize that the visual effects firm was infringing on Reardon's intellectual property. DD3 was one of 4 visual effects companies and over 100 vendors that Disney, which used over 20 different software tools other than MOVA just for its work on Beauty and the Beast's face, worked with on Beauty and the Beast. The trial is expected to last a week, with each side getting 16 hours to present its case. Regardless of the outcome, a sequel to the case may come in the form of another trial over Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, which were released after that 2017 decision and have collectively grossed more than $6 billion. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.